All right, folks, let's get straight into it because there's a lot going on at Celtic right now, and the winds of change just don't seem to stop blowing through Parkhead. More moves behind the scenes, more uncertainty about the future. And once again, we're left wondering what direction the club is actually heading in. So the latest headline that's got everyone talking, Celtic's head of scouting operations, Jay Lefebvre, is on his way to Swansea City. Now, that might not sound massive at first, but trust me, it's another big piece of the puzzle, shifting at a time when stability is exactly what we need the most. Lefebvre has been part of Celtic since December 2019, which means we're talking about nearly 6 years of service. He was brought in during the Nick Hammond era, and that feels like ages ago now. Back then, the whole scouting department was being rebuilt, and Lefebvre became the central figure in that operation. He wasn't just some analyst sitting behind a screen. This was the guy managing the full scouting structure, coordinating the team, assigning matches to scouts, handling reports, overseeing video analysis, and introducing new statistical models to evaluate players. His background was solid too: Arsenal, Brighton, Millwall, all clubs that value detailed, data-driven scouting. So losing someone like that isn't just a name off the payroll. It's the head of your entire recruitment brain trust walking out the door. What's tricky here is that Celtic never really make a big deal about their scouts publicly. They don't put them on the website. They rarely talk about how the department runs, and yet it's one of the most important parts of the modern game. Clubs live and die by their transfer strategy, and right now that's an area where Celtic have been taking more hits than wins. If we're being honest, the last 5 transfer windows have been rough. Since Brendan Rodgers came back, Celtic have brought in 31 first-team players and spent somewhere around £75 million. That's a huge amount of money by our standards. But when you start breaking it down, how many of those signings truly delivered value for money? You'd struggle to fill one hand. It's not just about flops either. It's about consistency. Too many players have come in and barely made an impact, while the core of the team still relies heavily on those who were key during the Ange post-KYOGO days. And sadly, some of those players aren't performing at the same level anymore, whether that's down to motivation, injuries, or simply time catching up with them. The recruitment strategy just hasn't clicked. You look at that infamous summer window of 2023, and it was, frankly, a disaster. Money poured into players like Odin Holm, Marco Tilio, Yuki Kobayashi, Gustav Lagerbielke, Lewis Palmer. Millions spent, little to show for it. These are transfers that should have strengthened the squad for years to come, but instead, most of them are either out on loan, benched, or forgotten. Even the ones considered decent signings like Luke McCauley or Kasper Schmeichel have come with an asterisk. They weren't necessarily products of the scouting team's brilliance, but more players Rodgers himself already knew well. And that's where the frustration grows. Celtic need a proper, joined-up approach to recruitment, a clear vision shared between the manager, the scouts, and the board. It can't just be this tug-of-war where the club signs one type of player while the manager wants another. We've seen it before, those press conference moments where Rodgers said, "The club will sign the players, and I'll develop them." That kind of disconnect is poison. The next manager, whoever that is, has to be hands-on with the process, fully involved from start to finish. You can't rebuild a squad on spreadsheets and hope it all just clicks. Now, it's not fair to put all the blame on Lefebvre for the transfer failures. Recruitment is a team effort and involves many voices, analysts, coaches, executives, and we all know that Celtic's internal structure has its quirks, but the reality is the club needs to reset its entire scouting framework. We're not just talking about replacing one person, we're talking about redefining how Celtic identify, assess, and sign talent. You can't win the league, let alone compete in Europe, if your transfer hit rate is sitting at 20%. That's just the hard truth. And the timing of all this, well, that's what makes it even more fascinating. Lefebvre leaving comes right after Brendan Rodgers' exit, and it's part of a larger domino effect. Rodgers gone, his backroom team gone, John Kennedy, Adam Sadler, Jack Lyons, Glenn Driscoll, and now the head of scouting. Even whispers about changes in the academy setup, with Stevie Hamill possibly stepping into a bigger role. It's like every department is being reshuffled. The only area that seems untouched, ironically, is the one supporters most want to see changed: the boardroom. All this movement suggests Celtic are in the early stages of a full-scale rebuild, not just on the pitch but off it as well. Yet it still feels like the club keeps the fans at arm's length during all of this. There's such a hunger among supporters to understand what's actually going on, not to know every detail, but to have a sense of direction. Imagine how refreshing it would be if the club opened up just a little bit about their recruitment strategy. Why return to the Japanese market last summer after stepping away for a bit? Do they still see value there without Ange in charge? What's the thinking behind scouting in the Americas now that players like Marcelo Sarra and Kobe Donovan are being linked to those regions? Even a bit of transparency would make a massive difference. Instead, it's all silence and speculation. Fans are left piecing together clues while the club hides behind vague mission statements about developing Champions League-level players. Those words mean nothing without a real plan behind them. Supporters don't expect trade secrets, but they deserve to feel part of the journey. Celtic has one of the most passionate fan bases in the world. We live and breathe the club, so why not let us see the vision? Tell us how you're rebuilding, what kind of players you're targeting, what markets you believe in. That's how you build trust again. Meanwhile, on the pitch, even the younger sides are grinding away. The B team recently moved into the knockout stages of the KDM Evolution Trophy, despite a loss to East Kilbride. That's a bit of a silver lining in the development system, showing that at least there's talent pushing through the pipeline. Shin Yamada got a run out in that match. Not quite the glamorous Celtic Park setting he probably imagined when he signed, but every journey starts somewhere. You look at Callum Osman, who was at that same level not too long ago and made his mark before injury struck. It's a reminder that patience still has a place in football. And then, of course, there's the international break. You almost lose count of how many players are away representing their countries right now. Kieran Tierney and Anthony Ralston with Scotland, Kasper Schmeichel with Denmark, Liam Scales and Johnny Kenny for Ireland, Austin Trusty back with the United States, Benjamin Negron with Sweden, and Misha Balisha finally getting his first call-up for DR Congo. It's great to see so many of the squad involved on the international stage, but the hope, as always, is that they all come back in one piece. The squad is already paper-thin in most positions, so another injury or two could be disastrous. It's strange times at Celtic. On one hand, there's pride, players representing their nations, young prospects developing, the promise of a rebuild. But on the other hand, there's unease, key staff leaving, signings failing, and a lack of communication from the top. You can sense the fan base holding its breath, waiting for a sign that there's a real plan in motion. Because right now, Celtic feel caught in between eras, not fully dismantled, but not yet rebuilt either. The truth is this club has been through transitions before and it's survived them all. But for once, it would be nice to see Celtic move proactively rather than reactively. Instead of scrambling after problems appear, build something strong from the start. A scouting network that actually identifies players who fit the system. A recruitment model that works in harmony with the manager, and a board willing to listen to the pulse of the supporters, because right now that's the only way forward. And maybe, just maybe, we'll start to see the Celtic we all know and love rise again. From the training ground to the terraces, from the boardroom to the pitch, united with one clear purpose. And while all this talk about scouting and management reshuffles has dominated the headlines, there's still the football side of things to think about. The international break has given the players a breather from domestic frustrations, but it's also reminded us just how fragile the squad depth has become. You watch these games, seeing Celtic players scattered across the world, representing their nations, and it's a strange mix of pride and anxiety. Pride because, of course, it's great seeing your club's lads on the biggest stages. Anxiety because with every tackle, every challenge, you're silently praying they come back in one piece. Kieran Tierney and Anthony Ralston are both away with Scotland, and there's a lot of optimism about this national team again. They're facing Greece and Denmark, both strong sides, and you just get the feeling that this Scotland team has a proper shot at qualifying for the World Cup. This time, it would be massive, not only for the country, but for the Celtic connection in that squad. Tierney back on form is something every Celtic supporter wants to see, even though his future might not lie in Glasgow anymore. Ralston, too, he's one of those players who gives everything no matter what shirt he's wearing, and it's good to see him getting consistent recognition. Then there's Kasper Schmeichel with Denmark, returning to Hampton Park, where he lifted a trophy not too long ago. It's funny how football circles back like that. Denmark have fixtures against Belarus and Scotland, so there's a chance we could see a Celtic player on both sides of the pitch. Liam Scales and Johnny Kenny are with Ireland, with matches against Portugal and Hungary. Kenny's call-up is well-deserved. Well, and it's good to see young talent from our squad being recognised. The same goes for Austin Trusty, who's back in with the United States men's team for games against Paraguay and Uruguay. It's no secret that he's been one of the few recent signings to show steady progress, and his work ethic is exactly what the team needs more of. Over in Sweden, Benjamin Negron is away with their national team as they face Switzerland and Slovenia, though their World Cup hopes are basically gone already. Still, the experience will be valuable for him, especially under their new manager. Graham Potter, a name that caught quite a few people by surprise. Imagine if Potter sees something in Negron that sparks a new level of confidence when he returns to Celtic Park. These little details can make a huge difference. Meanwhile, Misha Balisha finally gets his debut call-up for DR Congo, which has been a long time coming. He declared for them before even signing for Celtic, but injuries and selection issues kept delaying it. Now he's got a big one ahead, a World Cup playoff against Cameroon, possibly leading to a final. That's massive for him personally, and you'd hope the experience of playing in high-pressure international fixtures helps him bring more maturity back to Celtic. Vela Sinazalo is away with Finland, who've got Malta and Andorra. It's another player who needs minutes, even if it's just in friendlies, to build rhythm again. And there's also Tenketi, who might not have featured on the official team sheet for Tunisia, but reports from Celtic circles say he's away with them regardless. Japan's Daisen Maeda is taking part in the Kirin Cup, their version of a friendly tournament. Though they treat it seriously, games against Ghana and Bolivia will be solid tests. And last but not least, young Kobe Donovan has earned another call-up with Scotland's under-21s for games against Gibraltar and Bulgaria. The youth pipeline at Celtic still has life, and it's something we've got to nurture properly, especially with the first team in transition. Of course, not everyone is off on international duty. Players like Reo Hatate, Ari Engels, and others have stayed behind, either through lack of call-ups or injury. It's been almost a year since Engels last played for Belgium, which is hard to believe given the promise he once showed. Injuries have been a massive problem for us this season. Cameron Carter-Vickers, Alistair Johnston, Kelechi Iheanacho, Marcelo Sara, all out. It's left the squad stretched thin, and it's fair to say we're walking into the next phase of the season on eggshells. We can't afford any more setbacks. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. KYOGO Furuhashi, Celtic's Japanese talisman, is reportedly at breaking point. Sources close to the club whisper that the striker, who has been pivotal in Celtic's attack, is furious and has made it clear to those around him, this can't go on. The unsettling words heard in the corridors of Celtic Park have sparked a flurry of speculation that the 26-year-old may be contemplating a shock exit. Fans have watched KYOGO light up the Premiership since his arrival. His deft movement and clinical finishing carving open defenses with seeming ease. Yet, according to insiders, it's the off-pitch frustrations that are now gnawing at him. Talks of contract wrangling, dissatisfaction with managerial decisions, and the club's direction this season have all been whispered in hushed tones among Celtic staff. Some say the striker feels undervalued despite his undeniable contributions. Rumors are swirling that European suitors are circling. Clubs from the Bundesliga and J-League are reportedly keeping tabs on his situation, ready to swoop should Celtic falter in keeping their star forward happy. Meanwhile, social media has erupted. Fans split between panic at losing a talisman and excitement at the prospect of seeing KYOGO on a bigger stage. KYOGO is class, one supporter tweeted, but if he's unhappy, maybe he needs a new challenge. Inside Celtic Park, the mood is tense. Teammates are said to be urging calm, while management reportedly scrambles to find a way to placate the striker before the rumour mill spins completely out of control. The club's hierarchy is tight-lipped, but whispers suggest urgent talks are scheduled in the coming weeks. Whether it's a temporary spat or the beginning of a seismic transfer saga remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The Celtic faithful are bracing themselves for a storm, and KYOGO Furuhashi is at the center of it. For now, the rumors grow louder each day, leaving supporters to wonder whether the Japanese striker's Celtic story is nearing an unexpected and dramatic turn. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.